Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am here for a first look NBA Finals preview, which is the Milwaukee Bucks against the Phoenix Suns. So wanted to bring this to our listeners and get it out there so we can start breaking this series down, taking a look at where the edges are, where we can find some areas to attack and some areas to fade. So want to break that down for you a little bit today. And then what we're going to do here at Coach Talk is on Monday, we'll post something that day for the start of the series, which starts on Tuesday. So let's get right to it. First of all, appreciate you tuning in. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button and the little alert button in the top corner. We'd really appreciate that. If you're listening to us audio-wise through Spotify, Podbean, iHeart, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts can be found, we're there. If you can, please take a second, hit the 5 stars, and put a little comment in there. What we do is each month we have a drawing for a free 1-week membership, all access with Coach Talk for anybody that has done that. So we certainly appreciate it, and we also will have another giveaway because of the finals on Tuesday that we'll be announcing right on the podcast on Monday. So lots of free giveaways, lots of fun. We're really excited, geared up for this finals. I know Dirk's all pumped up back here, even though the Mavs aren't in there. But there are rumors the Mavs might get Kawhi Leonard to go along with Luka. Wouldn't that be something? But I digress. All right, we want to dive into this. A couple things. One thing I do want to say before we jump into the Phoenix Suns side of this. Tonight was the last broadcast by Marv Albert, and I know, maybe for some of and you can probably hear some fireworks in the background. This is at nighttime and everybody's shooting fireworks everywhere. But Marv Albert's last telecast, amazing. And I can, it means a lot to me because the very first basketball game I ever watched on television was all the way back. I was just a little kid, but it was all the way back in '74, and I remember it very well. It was the Milwaukee Bucks against the Boston Celtics, and he called the game. And so, my entire life, for my very first game that I ever watched and listened to somebody doing the play-by-play, till today when we finished up with him completing this Bucks series over the Hawks. So a lifetime of listening to Marv. I had to give him a shout out here because he called phenomenal games. I could spend an hour podcast just talking about all the games through the years, and listening to him in the finals and just big games all the way down the line. So really going to miss Marv, and just can't believe that, his career's over. It's time flies, that's for sure. All right, let's talk about a little bit about the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks. The finals start Tuesday, July 6th. That's game 1 in Phoenix, and it's going to be amazing. The Suns have never won a championship, and the last time the Bucks won it was in '74. With Lou Alcindor and Oscar Robertson. So it's been a while. Those two cities certainly deserve this finals without question. Couple of things, that I think are important. Number one, and really more so than anything else that we could possibly discuss here, is Giannis going to be available for the finals? And if so, is he going to be able to play? Probably 80% of Giannis is most people's 100%. So that's the big question, because the entire outlook of this series completely changes if Giannis plays or sits. So, that's something hopefully we'll know when Andrew and I do the podcast together on Monday prior to the championship. We'll see if we get news on that. But for the purposes of our discussion today, I still think he's going to be out. I know it's the finals, and I know he wants to play, and I'm sure the medical staff is trying to get him ready. But we all saw, what happened. It's amazing that he didn't tear his ACL with a hyperextension of the knee like that. That's generally what happens when it bends that far. So, we have a career to think about here, and he's still a young man. I just don't know if they try to roll him out there. We saw what, with Trae Young, you got to give him credit. He tried to get out there and play with them facing elimination, but he was just a shell of himself. He just, he couldn't plan. His timing was off. And, Giannis is all about athleticism. I mean, we know he's not a spot-up shooter or foul shooter, but, that length and his athleticism, he really needs to be mobile to be able to do that. So if that knee is really bad, then, wow, these fireworks are unbelievable. Well, it is 4th of July weekend, so I guess we have to expect that. But it sounds like I'm getting shot here. I don't know. Hopefully you guys can hear all that. But so I don't know. We have to see what happens with Giannis and, reconfigure what's going to happen from there. I think his presence makes such an enormous difference, though. I really, the way I see this now, and again, it's early, but just throw it out there right off the bat. I do think Phoenix has an edge here. They have home court. They're playing really good basketball. They're healthy. And I just think they're going to be tough to beat if Giannis can't lace them up. And I have actually, I think the Suns in 5 if that's the case. Now, if Giannis plays and he's actually able to be mobile and be, again, like I say, about 80% of himself even, then I think, you're looking at a very possible 6 or 7 game series, because these two teams are very, very evenly matched. You look up and down statistically on down the line. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of Spider-Man versus Spider-Man kind of guys. You have Drew Holiday and Chris Paul, who are both, just veteran point guards that understand the league, that don't turn it over very much, that control the pace of the game. You have guys, fun matchups like Crowder, versus PJ Tucker, two scrappy guys that D it up and, don't really care if they're involved in the offense, and just on down the line. I mean, it's going to be a really tight series. They played twice this year. Both games were won by Phoenix by 1 point. So how close can you get? And one of those games, Drew Holiday sat out for COVID protocol. So you have two teams that played each other, right to the wire in both games. You also have two top 10 defensive efficient teams, which it always comes down to this. Everybody wants to pick, the splashy, sexy, offensively, high-scoring teams to advance in the playoffs. But every year, it all never fails. You very seldom have non-top 10 defensive efficient teams that get to the finals. And I mean, you can go back and look at it over and over again. And we have the same thing here. The Bucks finished 9th and the Suns 10th, so, or vice versa. And they were both in that top 10 throughout the entire year. One thing statistically that stands out to me that is completely different, though, and I think will have a lot to do with how this series goes and how we can strategize some of our DFS plays. As far as pace of play, the Suns like to slow it down, set it up, let Paul survey the floor, see if they can get Booker free on a curl screen or running off a double, or clear for Ayton where they can try to get him the ball inside. Thus, they were the 27th ranked team in pace. So they try to slow it down, control pace, we know Chris Paul is the greatest in the history of the NBA as far as assist to turnover ratio. He just does not throw the ball around. I mean, he had stretches this year just insane, 43 assists to 1 turnover in one stretch. I mean, impossible things. But what that tells you is he's not just flying the ball up the floor and just haphazardly making passes. They get in an offensive half-court set and slow it down. So you're going to be able to tell pretty early on who has control of the game based on the pace of play. Milwaukee, on the other hand, wants to push the ball. They want to get stuff out of transition. They want to, try to get the ball down the floor to Giannis. And even without Giannis in there, they're still pushing the ball, looking to get it forward, either for a three or something finishing in the paint. They were the second fastest paced team in the entire league. So there's the difference. You've got a lot of similarities, a lot of great matchups, but that pace of play is going to be a key. So, when we're looking to build these, rosters for DFS, I think the first thing you can start planning and looking at is, in Phoenix, with them in the front of their crowd, both teams are going to have phenomenal home crowds. So there's going to be a giant edge at home. And I think you'll see initially they may slow the pace down a little bit. And in doing that, we need to look at some guys that are going to do better from that pace of play, like the Aytons. He's certainly going to be somebody that you have to be concerned about. And even in that kind of set, from the Milwaukee side, Middleton and Lopez, I think, have an advantageous position in a half-court type set. The guys that, the other guys like Giannis really thrive when they push the ball and they're in the open floor, because you can't stop him when he gets downhill and extends those legs. So I think, with the type of pace I think Phoenix will try to put in play, I think Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and then Lopez and Middleton, those are the first four that jump out to me that in that type of half-court set play, they could thrive even more so than they normally do. Who is that going to hurt? Again, you may look at the guys that really are going to try to run the floor and finish at the rim. Mikal Bridges, Booker, who likes to get threes in transition. I think Bobby Portis likes to get the ball out and go to. Those guys are all going to be fine, but I think you're going to see a little bit of shift. Now, when the games go to Milwaukee and the crowd's into it and it's going, based on statistical analysis, even not just my eye test and watching it, they usually pick up the pace. They play at a faster pace in Milwaukee, whether it's the crowd, the adrenaline, just what they're trying to accomplish. But on the road, not quite as much. And same thing with Phoenix. They have a tendency to get more in control of the ball, slow it down a little bit at home, and as opposed to when they're on the road, some teams push them a little bit. And that's the first thing I looked at, because I wanted to see if there was any correlation, how that's going to work. So when you start planning out, building your lineup as the playoffs go, the finals go, don't forget that you may have to switch based on stats, based on the eye test, based on pace of play. If Giannis sits, I would say the half-court guys that relish in that type of a role you'll see a bit of a move up the DFS scale for them in those first games in Phoenix. And then as the scene shifts to Milwaukee, I think you're going to see a little bit of a picked up pace. The Bookers, the guys are going to get out and try to run, I think are going to really holiday Portis. I think those guys will do better. So we're going to have to think on our toes, follow it as it goes. If Giannis plays, then everything changes. The defensive assignments, strategically what they're going to do would also change. So for now, it looks like the matchups, if I had to anticipate this, and again, this is not official. I mean, we just completed this series, and I wanted to get a first look out at the finals out there so we can start thinking it. Because, 3 days is a lot of time, and we haven't seen Phoenix in 3 days from before now. So you're going to have to be ready on Tuesday with 6 days rest from the Suns, 3 from the Bucks, which matters, by the way. That's an advantage for the Suns as well. But to keep this fresh in your mind, I wanted to look at what I anticipate the coaches will do here from a matchup standpoint. And it's going to be interesting. I think obviously Holiday and Paul will guard each other. There's some people that think Holiday will guard Booker a little bit. I think he plays Paul. I think those guys are going to go heads up, mano a mano here. I think the 2 point guards, the vets, will play head to head. I think they'll put Middleton on Booker. Booker has shown that length bothers him. When he gets long defenders that he has trouble shooting over, then he struggles a little bit. And Middleton is just ideally that perfect guy. He's much longer, but he still has the lateral movement to guard Booker, and I think that's Coach Bud's best, chance to keep Booker from one of those huge games. On the other side, though, I think Middleton will be guarded by Bridges. Bridges is their defensive perimeter specialist on the Suns, and I almost guarantee he's going to guard Middleton, and that'll be a huge assignment for him to keep him in check. What that'll do, I think, on the other side, I think they'll probably put Booker on P.J. Tucker. And the reason I say that is they could keep him out of foul trouble. They can keep him a little fresh because we know PJ's basically going to stand in the corner. And, he can get out there and get a hand. And if Tucker tries to go inside, there'll be help in there, from Ayton and such. So I think that would be a smart move. And then Crowder, I think you may see guard Portis, actually. I think that would be the ideal matchup there if Portis gets the start. If Portis doesn't and Giannis is able to play, I think you'll still see Crowder on Giannis anyway. He could get in foul trouble, but that's who I would expect to have that tough defensive assignment. Now, if it's Portis, I think that could be a pretty even matchup both ways. I think they'll guard each other. And then the interesting part will be Brook Lopez against DeAndre Ayton. Another good matchup. Ayton was able to play a little bully ball with the Clippers and take advantage of that inside. He's not going to be able to do that with Lopez. Lopez is strong. He understands the angles. He can block a few shots. Those two guys will be banging at each other for sure. I think that's a good matchup for both guys. And same thing, the only thing with Ayton that's going to be challenging is Lopez can shoot the three. And that's going to extend Ayton away from the paint. And that's not ideal for what Phoenix wants to do because they want DeAndre in the paint getting rebounds. So there is the potential they could shift some things and possibly put Bobby Portis on Ayton because he can guard away from the basket better, and then let Lopez guard Crowder. That's the only decision I think that needs to be made there because, again, you want to have your big guys in the paint. But we're going to get a true, old-fashioned NBA Finals. You've got your stud point guards that know how to run a team. You've got your great shooters in Booker and Middleton. You have your defensive specialists that take charges, get on the floor for the ball, and the Crowders and Tuckers. The hustle guys that, play a role, will get shots when they're there, in a Porter and Bridges. And two real centers in Lopez and Ayton. And, Lopez proved in this last series against Atlanta that he's not just a three-point shooter. I mean, he spent the majority of his career as a post-up center at the block. I mean, I remember him for 7-8 years, first 7-8 years of his career, I don't think he took a three. He was in the paint, on the block. He has great little jump hook, drop step. He's a terrific interior player, and Atlanta couldn't stop him, and that was a big difference in this series. He really played well, and I think you're going to see that here because it's necessary. They need that body in the paint to challenge Ayton, and Lopez can do that, and I think you're going to see a really good matchup there. So, I mean, it's a fantastic series. I think, I hope Giannis is able to get in there because I think that'll make it really close. But it's tough. I mean, Giannis is a 2-time MVP. If he can't go or he's, really hobbled, Phoenix being healthy and having this momentum and extra rest is going to be pretty tough to beat. But, it should be fun series. I think it'll be close. It'll be great for DFS. We'll be covering all the games throughout, obviously, all 7 games. We'll do, Andrew and I will have a podcast for every one of them. And if you want to join in and really get our take on everything even a step further, and also some lineups. We provide full lineups for FanDuel and Yahoo. We provide a core build for cash and GPP on DraftKings. And we do that in our Discord about 25 minutes before tip of each game. So if you want to join, go to dfscoachtalk.com. We have multiple different packages you can sign up for, even as little as a 3-day pass for $10. And this is the time to catch it. I mean, basketball is our main gig here. We also carry, and very strongly, I should say, baseball, golf, and football. And when you become a member at Coach Talk, you get all 4 sports. You get full access. We don't sell any type of memberships per sport. Once you're in, you get the Discord invite when you sign up. You're in there. You're getting everything that we put forward. We also work every week. We have a members-only meeting. We talk about specifics of really what we call the Coach Talk process, which has everything to do with 2 things: bankroll management and contest selection. If you could master those 2 things and really do well at them and be disciplined with them, you can make good long-term money playing DFS. But I'll just tell you straight out, and I like to share this information because I know it's the facts, and it's if you go all in all the time and you're going for the big hit, the Millie Maker or the 100K to first or whatever the big contests are, and you're playing 2, 3, 4 shots in GPPs where other people are putting in 150, you can't win. And unfortunately, it's just the truth. I mean, occasionally somebody will pop one of those. But for the most part, if you want to be long-term successfully playing DFS and have fun doing it, it is important to really latch on to a process, control the bankroll management and contest selection side. And, you could talk to multiple people of our members that have been with us since we started a year ago, and you'll see that a lot of them have never had to deposit. They just have stuck with it, built the bankroll, and that's really what we're all about. We love the competition, we love DFS, but we also approach it intelligently, and we want to attack it from a position of power that we can win. So join in with us. We'd love to have you. Check us out during the finals here, and certainly would love to have you. A couple things real quickly. We're on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. You can reach me directly at Joe Sarvadi. That's JoeSarvadi. Andrew is at Language Olympic. And you can also find us on Instagram, Facebook. We're pretty much all over the place. So check us out. Put any comments in there. If you have any questions, certainly post them in YouTube. Send us a message on Twitter. We always respond to those. And then, hopefully we'll see you down the road and you can join us. But that is it. I just wanted to give my 2 cents worth on the first take of the NBA Finals, a little discussion about matchups. I think, there's definitely some edge to be had here. We didn't really talk about the bench with each of these teams because I don't think they're really going to be in play that make an impact. And if we have to go to a value guy, we'll break that down on Monday. Connaughton, Forbes, Payne, Craig Sarge, Cam Johnson. That's the sort of the group of guys that we're tossing around to maybe be a value play like Connaughton was today. But we'll delve into that. A lot of it is going to be if Giannis plays or not when we determine the rotation and the matchups. But we will certainly dissect this in every way possible to give our listeners and our members the best edge possible to win. So that is it. I appreciate everybody listening in. Certainly excited for this NBA Finals. I think it's going to be a really special one. And really want to thank all our team here at DFS Coach Talk. We have a phenomenal team. We've added a director of analytics in John Wiehausen, and he's phenomenal. We're adding a new director of marketing, which we're going to announce on Monday, and he's phenomenal. I mean, we have the best guys in the DFS space. So fantastic job from all of our team: Joe Stanton, Dawson Sarvati, Brett Trimble, Tyler Pitzer, Andrew, of course, and I know I'm forgetting somebody. I always forget one or two names, but it is the whole team that makes this work. And we're attacking this finals, and we're going to crush it for sure. So, again, thank you, and definitely tune back in on Monday for our regular NBA podcast show. And again, we'll do one each for each game of the finals, and hopefully we get a long series, and that's certainly a lot more fun. So have a great 4th of July. Have a safe and healthy one and fun one. And God bless America. I guess we got to say that because it is the 4th of July weekend. So we'll look forward to seeing you on Monday when we look to crush it in DFS.